Good evening. You're watching Outside the Box. This is the show which allows you to interact directly with political party candidates. We are only 7 days away from the national poll, and the discussions are certainly heating up. Now, joining us on the debate tonight is Niko Nawaikula from SODELPA and Seni Nabou from the National Federation Party. Good evening and welcome to the show. Right, first question for you tonight. Why is there so much concern about the 2013 Constitution in regards to land? Ms. Nabou, you'd like to answer that question first?
Sure. I think the issue of land is, as you say, very topical. But because it concerns indigenous people of this country, it's imposing a lot of things.
Yeah.
First of all, this constitution has been imposed on us all. And that's a great concern because there's been no consultation, no discussion. Thirdly, we all know that this constitution, these elections that we're going into, is to where this administration can formalize themselves through the ballot box as well as their imposed constitution.
Mr. Nawaikula, what do you think?
Well, Mika, you know that land strikes at the heart of native Fijians. We know that, the government know that, and because of that, it has become the central issue. So everyone's tackling it.
Okay.
That's basically the reason.
Okay. Now, if we were to go closer to the 2013 Constitution, Niko, you're a lawyer. You've been dealing with land issues for quite some time. What do you think are the sections, key sections of the Constitution that affect land ownership?
Section 28, with no doubt.
What about 28?
Section 28, what we are concerned for, SODELPA, is the way in which the government is twisting the issue. We are concerned especially of information that is coming up from the media, advertisement, and announced by individuals here, Kisoko, Raturala, an advertisement by the advertisement with the Prime Minister's office, stating that the rights of the Itoki and native land is better secured now, when it is not, and it's absolutely and totally wrong.
Okay. So the wording of that is a protection from permanent alienation of land, is it?
Correct.
Section 28.
That is wrong. What they are saying, that there is now better protection of the Itoki land, is totally and absolutely wrong.
What does NFP have to say to that?
An NFP government will not exercise the compulsory acquisition provision of the Constitution.
Which is what
Section
provision?
27.
27. Why?
You can't impose things like that. If it's not yours, it doesn't belong to you. You have to have a discussion.
Okay. So in reality, what Section 27 does in real life?
In real life, it, under the guise of a public purpose, it opens up indigenous land rights for everybody. That's fair, but you can't impose that. You have to have a discussion with the landowners.
Now, SODELPA, yes, Mr. Niko?
What I'm saying is that it's an absolute lie. Okay, so what is the truth? The truth, you look at Section 28.
Right.
What does it say? I have Section 28 here. Can you read it?
Right, go ahead.
Section 28 says this, if you are listening. The ownership of all Itoki land shall remain with the customary owners and shall not be permanently alienated, whether by sale except to the state for public purpose. The first point on this is this. This has been taken out of a section like that in the Native Land Trust Act. And you go to the next one, 28B, which says it can be returned after use. That's from Section 8 of the State Lands Act. So it's been taken from there and cut and pasted here. Now the problem with this is that this has removed totally the entrenchment. The entrenchment protects native land. The entrenchment allows native owners to have a say on whether government can change a law relating to native land or not. And the important thing about entrenchment is that that is in accordance with the UN Declaration on Indigenous Rights, which says that before the government makes any changes on anything that affects their lives or land or laws on native land, it must seek their prior consent.
Thank you.
It's not here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nawaikula. I think Rajina's from Samambola. is on the line. Buluvinaka Ratnesh.
Buluvinaka, bro.
Any question?
My question is simply, though I had another question, but my question,
yes, what is the question, Ratnesh?
my question is relating the land bank. I
Yeah.
just wanted to know from these panelists, I mean these guys who are at in the question today, what is about this land bank? How does it save the Ethiopians, and like we are the second largest population in this country? How does it save us, like India?
Okay, you heard that? What he said? Okay, Mr. Nawaikula would like to answer that
Okay.
first.
Land bank. The first thing that is wrong about the land bank is that it is in direct breach of the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights, which says that any alteration of any land must have their prior consent.
Okay.
This is an alteration of the native land.
Mhm.
It removes or takes away their land rights.
Okay.
Because firstly, all native land should be with the Native Land Trust
Trust,
Board.
yeah.
But this has taken away a portion of that by giving power to the Prime Minister to choose any land with the consent of the native owners there
Mhm.
to put into the land bank.
Okay, Ms. Nabou, what do you think of land bank?
Yeah, I think we would agree with SODELPA on that. It alienates the landowners from their lands, and more importantly, it doesn't give the landowners any form of redress.
Yes, Niko?
There is another point. The critical thing about this is as soon as the native owners give their 60% consent, that is the end. No more. They cannot even take the state or the director for lands to court on that.
Okay.
There's no more say on the administration or the conditions of the lease.
So you're saying there's no provision in the land bank that allows a landowner or land-owning unit to seek legal redress?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And what does SODELPA intends to do?
We will take this out.
Totally?
We will take this out totally because it is in breach of the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights.
Ms. Nabou, NFP will do the same? Or how it's going to work around it?
Well, I think for us, our standard has always been the 1997 Constitution in terms of the entrenched provisions there on native land rights. And in terms of the land use decree, you know our position about the convening of a national forum for heads of rivers and chiefs, and we'll bring that to them to decide.
The chiefs to decide on these issues. Right?
There's just another point. You must remember that all these laws continue to be unlawful and has to be validated by Parliament. This Constitution does not say that, but I do not think that the judges will be favorable to that. They will disagree.
Okay. Well, thank you. Don't go anywhere. We continue the discussion right after the short break. Well, welcome back. Remember, you can join the discussion live tonight by texting in your questions to 3599 or call our studio line 3302100. Now, back to the discussion, but before that, we'll take the call from Yado from Tamavua, Buluvinaka Yado.
Yes, Buluvinaka, sir. I would like to pose a question to our two guests tonight.
Go ahead.
Yes, the question is this. You are both the conservative parties, and you have conservative politics on land. Do you think your land policies will attract Fijian youth?
Mr. Nawaikula, I think that's directed to you.
Will affect what?
It will impact on youths, attract youth voters, do you think? Your land policies.
I think it's very vital. It's very vital. It will touch on youth or any right-thinking person. Period. Because the land is the very basis of identity. For the Fijian people, the essence of their cultural identity boils down on land. And I can tell you that I've spoken to a number of youths, and they're very vocal about this.
Okay. Now, do you agree or do you think that indigenous rights have been removed or weakened under the current circumstances? And do you think the Bill of Rights in the Constitution has an overriding effect on customary rights and over land ownership?
Okay.
What do you think, Mr. Nabou?
For us, as I said before, our benchmark in terms of indigenous rights will always be the 97 Constitution because we helped to formulate it. And in terms of whether that should change or not, we know what this administration has put as in terms of the process to change it, and we will do so.
Now, Mr. Nawaikula, Bill of Rights, has that has an overriding effect on customary ownership?
Bill of Rights impacts on their rights to land as well as to their cultural identity generally. On land, you have Section 26, and you also have 65C, which says that even though the land is protected, the government is allowed to pass other laws to take that away. Clear example of this is the Land Use Decree, the Mahogany Decree, and the Surfing Decree. So where does the protection come from? If you protect it on the one hand, and the other hand allows the government to take that away.
Okay. Right.
Can I also just add that we would agree with the Bill of Rights provisions in terms of it gives and takes away. The limitations, kind of undermine the whole purpose of having a Bill of Rights.
Okay, that's good. That's the stand of your parties on the issues, eh? Okay. Now we move to ALTA. Now NFP seeks the entrenchment of ALTA if it comes into power. Question is why?
Basically, we want to ensure that there's security for both the landlord and the tenants, and we want to see that entrenchment back.
And we understand that SODELPA is not keen on that, Mr. Nawaikula?
Well, when you talk about ALTA, you're talking about the security of tenure, the need for the tenants to also have proper security.
Right.
ALTA is one solution, and the entrenchment, we don't believe there's a need for entrenchment. We would prefer, or I personally prefer, that we have an overall discussion on giving better security.
But what's the problem of entrenching ALTA for the tenants, and also the indigenous people have their native land trust act, which you also seek to entrench? Is it a balance? I mean, a fairness on that?
There's a reason why we need to entrench native land trust act, as well as the other act relating to indigenous people. The basis of that is the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights, which says that before you change any law that touches or concerns native people in relation to their land or any of their rights, you must have their approval, their prior approval. So that's where the entrenchment comes in.
Will NFP, talk about this with the indigenous community before going ahead entrenching it in the constitution?
And yes, and furthermore, this is why we're proposing the master lease concept, because our trends and our forecasts show that the demographics of the tenants are shifting, and there's more indigenous Fijians becoming tenants.
Right.
So we have to look forward and make sure that equal opportunities for everybody moving forward.
Now, NFP master lease works in a way that government leases indigenous land.
Correct.
And then releases it to tenants.
Yeah.
So does SODELPA agree with that proposition?
By master lease, I'm taking to mean that there is an institution or somebody who takes a master lease and then tenants sublease from them. Now, so far as I can see, that also is a way of resolving the need for security of tenure. Well, we are open to discussion on that, because either that or we can discuss what a better option, another title that's more secure to that.
Okay. Now we have a call online, Reginald from Suva, Bulavinaka. Reginald, go ahead and ask your question.
Bula, yes, I just got in a bit late, but I hope I'm not taking you back.
Thank you.
I'm
Your
just
question,
why
sir?
an unelected government should try and help people use their land voluntarily when elected governments didn't do anything about this for some time now. Thank you.
Okay. You wanna?
I didn't.
Okay, I didn't get it too. I think he was talking about an elected government. But anyway, we'll continue on the discussion. Now, ALTA has a bit of history. Do you agree? If you go back, it caused a bit of a commotion when the Labour government tried to bring it up. But do you think, NFP, do you think you'll take the country back on that track if you are seeking the re-entrenchment of ALTA?
Not really. I mean, this is why we say the master lease concept, because it's been such the subject of acrimonious debate. We have to look for a way forward together. And our proposal on the master lease concept is for agricultural leases. As you know, the tenure is a minimum of 50 years. For the first 25 years, the tenant is and the landlord is, they ask the question, Will you need it for another 25 years? If not, then they have 25 years to then move and make other plans.
Niko, would it be prudent for a party to seek the retrenchment of ALTA once more?
Well, put it this way. The entrenchment has been there since 1970. We have lived with it.
Okay.
But the problem, the persistent problem is security of the tenant. To me, the better option is to discuss a better option, a better lease title. You can have a third, at the Native Land Trust Board, you only have one title, which is a lease. Why don't you have a discussion on another title which gives better terms?
Well, it brings me to the next question. What is SODELPA's best proposition to resolving landowners and tenant leasing issues?
SODELPA's view is this. The security of the tenant is vital to economy. It's important. It's important for the industry as a whole. The party will seriously sit down to talk about options. You've talked about ALTA. We are saying ALTA is not a solution. We should look for a better type of title that gives better security, even in terms of extending the term or extending or limiting the powers of NLTB to come into it. Because if you look at the history of the Native Land Trust Act, what the rightfully thinking Ratu Sela Alaskura has done was that first, he makes a reservation where it's used exclusively for the landowners.
Okay. Niko, we'll come back to that. Stay tuned. You're watching Outside the Box. We'll be back after the break. Now remember, you can join the discussion live by texting in your questions to 3599 or call our studio line 330-2100. Now let's get right into it again. Niko, you were trying to tell us your party's proposition.
Explaining that it's not a party. So this is a proposition that it's mine. Look at Ratsukuna had demarcated an area for reserve. Then out of that is outside reserve where you can lease it out to the public. So another option that you can look at is to demarcate another area where you have leases that can perpetually renew themselves. That's a better security than a 30-year or even a 60-year lease.
Okay, this is not in your party manifesto, but you would like to propose this if your party gets the government.
All stakeholders sit down to discuss.
Exactly. Now, Ms. Nabou, a fair rental concept of NFP insofar as the leasing of Native and Trust Act, which is in your manifesto.
Yes.
What is it?
So, I have to refresh my memory, sorry. We want to subscribe to a premium rate of 10% of unimproved capital value, bearing in mind the class of land. At the moment, I think Niko mentioned before we walked in here, 6%. An NFP government will subsidize the 4% to cap it at 10%. Additionally, we want to make sure that the landowners are given not only advice from NLTB, but their own legal advice to ensure that they can also table things such as trust funds, scholarship funds. I mean, I don't want to put words into the mouth of landowners, but these are the kinds of things that they probably will not
come up with.
They probably won't get from tenants right now.
Okay, all right. Mr. Nawaikula, on that issue?
The first problem that you encounter with the greatest problem for the landowners on UCV is that it's not based on the market. If any change comes where the rent is based on market, not on the market value of the land, but the market value of the product that is used, that will be far more equitable.
Right.
Because at the moment, 6% of the UCV equates to less than 10% of what comes out by way of investment on that land.
Okay. So how much of this, takings under the concept will go to the landowners, do you think? I mean, what's the percentage? Or what will be the outcome? Or the income that will be going to the landowners?
On the what? On the
UCV, 10%.
At 10%?
Yes.
At 10%, at 6%, I'm saying less than 10% of the income or the investment that is realized. If you put it up to 10%, it will still not be enough.
Yes.
It's better to take it on the market value.
Okay.
Market value, not on the land, of the production, of the outcome, of the investment that's realized, and then also take it on inflation. the inflation rate, because that has never been done.
Then only then the landowners will get
Then
a fair...
You can have that. Then only will they get
a fair rental.
Fair return.
Do you agree with that?
Well, again, it's going to be part of the negotiations, both from the NLTB, who are their trustees, and their own legal advisors, to make sure that they get equitable returns.
Okay. Now, NFP, again in the manifesto, plans to revitalize the Fijian administration.
Correct.
Within 100 days?
Within 100 days?
How's it going to do that?
Well, we're going to convene a meeting. We understand that the Great Council of Chiefs is the apex body, but it's not the government.
Okay.
And that's why we're saying it's inappropriate for any political party or a government to say GCC in, out, whatever.
Your party doesn't say that specifically, that it wants GCC to come back, doesn't it?
We're saying we'll call a meeting together, come, let's talk. Do you think it should come back? If so, how? What form? Is it fit for purpose? And not only that, the Fijian administration as well, NLTB, Fijian affairs, all those issues, perhaps even the master lease concept. Do you think that this is something worthwhile? Should it be improved, etc.? I should also mention that the master lease concept is not something new. Professor Prasad had gone through consultations with the Garase government, so it's not a new thing out of left field.
You are aware of that, Mr. Nawaikula?
Yeah. No, I want to say something on the Fijian administration.
Okay.
On the Fijian administration, one thing you must remember, that the laws that are now current, or the decrees, in total there's about 17 decrees that are passed affecting land, affecting the Fijian administration, the removal of native land, the taking away of their name. You must understand that the UN Human Rights Commission in Geneva in 2012 has said that these acts are totally discriminatory.
Okay.
And for us, we will be based on this. For the resolution of this, we should always be based on the UN Declaration of Indigenous Rights.
But as we speak, do we have a customary institution in place, do you think, apart from the GCC?
Well, the Vanua is there. The Vanua was here before this nation. The Vanua exists. It's just formalizing what's there.
Okay, through the GCC.
Or legitimizing it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, what is the first thing that you'll do if you get into Parliament, Ms. Nabou?
I think
on this issue of land.
On the issue of land. Okay. We mentioned before, within the first 100 days, we're going to convene that meeting. But more importantly for us is to reduce the economic hardship of our people. And so the VAT reduction from 15 to 10%, as well as a look at all the other import tariffs, is something we're going to be looking at.
Mr. Nawaikula?
Yeah, good question, Mika. My first, what I will do first is that I will propose an anti-propaganda law to take to task, people like Kisoko, Raturala, and certain newspapers that are, totally biased. They're not even fair comments. They're totally reporting false and lies. That's just not on.
Okay. Now, gauging from our discussion tonight, your party seem to be agreeing on certain areas of land issues. Do we see NFP SODELPA partnering, after the elections, if they win seats into a coalition, maybe?
Well,
is
NFP willing to work with SODELPA?
Let's put it this way. We intend to form a majority government. I know that's our intention.
Okay. If it doesn't?
If it doesn't happen, then we will look at other parties and their policies and assess which are things that we can work with. But again, it's up to the voters. If they want us and our policies to go in, then the choice is theirs.
Niko?
Well, if we have us and NFP as a common ground to remove Frank, well, because we just don't want to have in government someone who has been involved in a coup, we will work with them.
Okay. Well, NFP was one of the parties that shook hands with the coup in 1997, which we saw the 1997 come into being.
And that happened because people legitimized him. They voted for him in the ballot box.
Okay.
I'm hoping and praying that they will not coalition with the Fiji first.
Okay. Well, Ratan is on the line. Bula Binaka Ratan. Go ahead. Your question, please. Go ahead, Ratan. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead and ask your question now.
My question is that when initially indigenous community in Fiji sold Fiji to Great Britain,
Yeah. What is the question, Ratan?
Didn't they lose all the rights that time to Great Britain?
Okay. Well, he's talking about. Right. What do you think about that?
His question is: did we lose all our rights when we cede this country to Britain? Certainly not. And those are very clear from the deed of cession. We retained our rights to own native land. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we ceded was the administration of this country.
Finally, Ms. Nabou, before we end our show tonight, anything on the issue? Did we lose all our rights to Britain?
I do not think so. I would agree with SODELPA on that.
Well, that's all for tonight. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to debate the important issues that matter leading up to the polls. Good evening.